Hi guys, so here we go again. The Northern Ireland Protocol has been put into jeopardy by the people who wanted Brexit at any cost. Edwin Poots of the DUP has instructed staff at Northern Ireland ports from midnight on Wednesday to stop carrying out checks on goods moving from GB to Northern Ireland. Let's hear from the Northern Ireland Secretary of State, Brandon Lewis, what he had to say about this.
Obviously, this is a matter for the Northern Ireland Executive. It is something that is within their legal remit. Obviously, we'll be looking at the outworkings of that, exactly what the legal advice is that Edwin has taken.
Yes, I would love to see the legal advice that Edwin Poots has taken. Now, does this remain within the remit of the Northern Ireland Executive? Because, well, if we look at the Northern Ireland Act, which is part of British law, it says here under section 26(1), if the Secretary of State considers that any action proposed to be taken by a minister or Northern Ireland Department would be incompatible with any international obligations, with the interests of defence or national security, or with the protection of public safety or public order, he may by order direct that proposed action shall not be taken. So the responsibility here is on the Secretary of State. Now, Brandon Lewis, of course, in the past said that he was willing to break international law in a limited and specific way. Will Brandon Lewis intervene here?
But this is one of the frustrations this, I have to say, is something we have been saying to the European Union for some time.
What do you mean? I would love to hear some examples. I've heard this on opt-in occasions. The European Union are not playing ball. The European Union are putting in all these requirements, all these checks. Look, the European Commission last year removed, I think it was about 80% of these checks. But the checks are not the real issue here. The real issue is declarations. But of course, the politicians are focusing on the checks because they're visual. The bigger issue is the declarations. The checks are, in a sense, a minor problem. And I think this has the potential to be either a storm in a teacup or a bit of a political issue for a week. But I think it's more the former. Because, as I said, the real issue is the declarations. Poots has run out of road. Poots has relied on the British government to trigger Article 16 of the Northern Ireland Protocol. They had promised him, yeah, don't worry, we will trigger it. Lord Frost had said it on I don't know how many occasions last year. Liz Truss has probably done the same as well. And isn't it convenient that Liz Truss met with the Northern Ireland Executive last week? She met with members of the Orange Order. She refused to meet with other parties who actually want to maintain the protocol. But I'm sure that Edwin Poots would not be able to take this step without the backing of the UK government. And I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a bit of a back and forth. I don't know, this could even be a distraction. I don't like to get into conspiracies, but this could even be a distraction for Boris Johnson. Something to help him out because it brings Brexit back onto the agenda. But let's hear what else he had to say.
Was the kind of thing that we could see happening. It's exactly the sort of thing we have been warning about in terms of the stability of the executive and the decisions the executive ministers will take in order to ensure that products can move from Great Britain to Northern Ireland in a way that they always have done.
In a way they always have done. Does Brandon Lewis not understand that there's a different situation here? That there's a different... Northern Ireland has access to the single market and the UK internal market. That Brexit happened, and the type of Brexit that he and other hardline Brexiteers wanted. They wanted to be outside they wanted Great Britain at least to be outside the single market and the customs union. And now he's saying we were predicting these problems. No, you in a sense created these problems. The people of Northern Ireland did not want Brexit. The only people who wanted it were the likes of the TUV and Edwin Poots in the DUP. These are the people who wanted Brexit. but they didn't get the Brexit that they wanted. So instead of actually admitting, okay, we failed, we lost, and move on from that, no. They've been demanding that the protocol be removed. Because, and this is a question I have for anyone who still supports the DUP, what do you want the protocol replaced with? You keep banging on about we want to get rid of the protocol, and this is an attempt to bring to get rid of the protocol. But it's not going to work, because it's not going to get rid of the protocol. Not carrying out these checks, I think, is going to create trouble for not Edwin Poots, but for Boris Johnson's government, because they are ultimately responsible. Northern Ireland is not Westminster. Westminster is in charge. So they have to decide what they're going to do next. And I think this is just a distraction. But I think the real losers here are going to be the DUP at the end of the day. They have invested so much political capital in Brexit, which has been a failure. They've invested so much political capital in triggering Article 16. That was a failure. And I think this is the last throw of the dice. Yes, let's try and bring down the assembly, or let's try and stop these checks from being carried out. And, the checks are the things that you see. That's the part of the protocol that you see. That's what the politicians keep banging on about. But the real issue is the declarations. That's happening behind the scenes. And Manufacturing Northern Ireland have come out and said this, an entity, a body that represents businesses in Northern Ireland, they said, look, this isn't going to really change anything. And it's not helping. It's just creating more problems for businesses in Northern Ireland. The British government need to step up to the plate and say, look, Edwin, you're wrong. Northern Ireland Executive, we're going to overrule you. We can, and we also have an obligation to do so. We're going to overrule you, and these checks have to be carried out. Otherwise, we're going to break international law. It's not Edwin Poots breaking international law. It would be the UK government doing it. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.